Hey everyone, it's Jason here. Welcome to the House Yogas podcast, a pathway to progress. Today is episode number 7, where I'm joined with the brilliant trio, Jeff, Malin, and Emma, who lead Foy's 200-hour yoga teacher training program, Ignite Your Passion. Thanks for joining me today, you guys.
Hi, Jay.
As always, I'm excited to connect with you, and thanks so much for making this happen. If you don't mind, I've got 2 questions for you that can really start this conversation off. And the first question is, can a yoga teacher training transform your yoga practice, your yoga journey, as well as your life? So let's start with that first question. I'm going to pass it over to Jeff first.
Absolutely. If you need the answer to that question, you can just listen to the last podcast we did. Yoga teacher training has been the greatest gift I've ever given myself because it kickstarted the journey of my own self-development and spiritual growth. And the Thoy journey into power, the amazing training that we have created and that we facilitate, is the same training that I did 6 years ago. And Malin and I were both on the training, and Emma was one of our teachers. Was such a transformational experience. So absolutely part of my physical practice completely upgraded, and my whole life changed.
Sounds like there was like a ripple effect, right? It was just a great platform to begin the journey for you, Jeff. So much has happened obviously since then. Awesome. Thank you. Emma, do you want to chime in on this around, the question of can a yoga training transform your journey, enhance your yoga practice as well as your life?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, exactly as Jeff said, yes, without a shadow of a doubt. My first teacher training completely changed my practice. And the one word that really encapsulates my training is freedom. And it gave me a huge amount of freedom in my own practice. I think before that point, I was following like the asanas, the poses, thinking, okay, this is what a downward dog looks like. This is what a warrior 2 looks like. And within my training, I really found the space to listen to myself, to listen to my body. I kind of became my own teacher. And that really gave me the freedom to find my own way, to find my own practice, and to continue to listen to my body every single time that I step onto my yoga mat, meaning that my practice continues to change, continues to evolve. And there really is that sense of freedom. And as I'm sure many of you listening will know, that yoga doesn't stay on the mat, and it has this huge ripple effect across our life. And not only do we kind of naturally, that happens throughout the process of teacher training, but we really dig into that as well, because a lot of our training, the House of Yoga training in particular, dives into personal growth. And that is where we really start to look at ourselves, to look at how we see the world, and to dive into who we are. And that really starts to that transforms everything.
Right. Yeah. When we had our last conversation with myself and Malin, and we spoke about yoga on and off the mat. It's exactly what you're speaking to there, is there's so much depth to it, right? So there's that starting point where, as student or teacher, we step on the mat, and then we get, for some people, they go into a teacher training like we've all done, and so many of our graduates, and we start to realize, wow, there's so much of this to absorb and to learn, and how it can really have an impact on our life, and obviously those around us. I really love the way you said, you had more freedom, and you became your own teacher and student. That alone, right, is such a big, massive insight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Malin, how about yourself?
Hi, Jay.
Hey.
Yeah, for me, I I of course agree with Jeff and Emma, and I like the words that they've been using as well, like freedom, growth, empowerment, transformation, change. I mean, we've all experienced all of those things. And the power of a yoga teacher training, I think, is that what Emma was describing, that it doesn't stop with the physical practice. It brings us to a greater awareness around ourselves and what we can and what is possible for us to achieve.
Yeah, that kind of stepping into that possibility, right? What I've realized as well is around, you know, like we see so many students step up and be brave and teach, like literally teaching from the first day, but being courageous and stepping into that unknown. But actually what we see, and Emma, we were talking about it earlier, that you were just with the guys weekend 6 teach training in person, and you're saying how strong they are teaching and how confident, you know, how much like confidence shows up. Totally different people showing up from, say, weekend 1, weekend 2 to then coming towards the end of the training where they look and feel so much more confident. What about that for you guys? Did you feel that, like, going for a training that it had an impact on your, obviously your confidence as a yoga teacher, that you can actually do it and, you know, stand there and teach and help people get better at their practices and get better at their life, but in regards to your overall confidence, again, you know, like on and off the mat?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a teacher training program is such a sacred space. Like, we're asking the students to be vulnerable with each other and to share themselves generously with each other. And I think just listening to each other's stories and each other's feelings and thoughts on life, I think, one, it brings us all closer together because we realize the things that we're kind of scared to say to other people. Like, we're like, oh, will someone think that I'm odd if I share that? Or will someone judge me if I share that? You realize, one, no one's going to judge you, and two, there's going to be at least 2 or 3 other people in the room that are having similar feelings to you. Like for example, like first weekends, generally everyone's thinking, should I be here? Like, am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing? Like, are they going to think I'm an imposter and that I need to go home and learn some more yoga first? And like, a lot of the time when we feel those things, those insecurities, we don't share them because we think if we share them, they're going to be real, right? Like, someone's going to say, yeah, you're right, you need to go home, right? But actually we share them and we're vulnerable with each other, and we realize actually there's a lot of other people feeling the same things that I'm feeling. So I think I came out of a training being like, we're all really human. We're all experiencing a lot of these like doubts and insecurities together. And actually just taking the time to understand myself better and to feel comfortable in my skin, that gave me a lot of confidence to be able to stand up in front of a class and be like, this is who I am. And actually what I'm doing right now, particularly like teaching yoga, is not about me. It's about how can I be of service.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. And just, you know, you think how, like, in regards to your teaching journey now, what your first teacher training was back in what, 2014?
13, yeah,
13,
first
right?
one, yeah.
You're almost like, you know, good 9, almost coming up to 10 years of teaching.
I know.
Wow.
So crazy.
It's crazy, yeah. But and like you said, it's just a never-ending journey, right? So you're 10 years in almost. 9, I'll give you an extra year, so you're 9 years in.
Thanks.
But like, there's so much more to learn about yourself and about this whole landscape, right? And
yeah,
it's amazing. I'd love to hear also from you, Jeff and Malin, around this, around, you know, the whole sort of confidence and stepping into your own power, and I guess really believing in yourself, right? Because that's what we see a lot is, you know, a lot of the students, they start really believing themselves that, wow, I can actually do this.
Well, first I want to completely say that what Emma shared was right on the nose, perfect. The way that we are together in a container of teacher training, seeing each other, oftentimes for being seen and held and listened to as deep as we've ever been in our lives. I can say that the friends I have from my first teacher training are still some of the closest friends I have to this day, because it's that intimacy and that vulnerability that really brings us together. And that whole process and going through that journey over a period of time with a group of people it's like a snake shedding its skin again and again and again, and being able to see, all right, that thing that I thought was not good enough about me or whatever it is, I've been able to see it and be witnessed and have other people sharing the similar things. And it's allowing us to become so much more expansive in freedom and loving, free and loving in our own body, in our own existence. And that's the confidence. That's how the confidence translates out, is like, I feel really good, really safe, really able in my own self to teach. And the other part of that is the deep, rich aspect of going through the yoga teacher training, the vulnerability. The other part of it is the practice. It's the practice. And that's the other burning away of all the doubts and all the fears and all the limiting beliefs, as we step up and we practice in the face of the insecurities, when we're vulnerable, and showing up and stepping up and having a supportive group where it feels okay, and even better than okay, feeling supported to step up and teach again and again and again and again. It's like ironing out all the doubts, all the fears around being in front of others, sharing, teaching, all of that gets worked through.
Which everyone has, right, Jeff? Like everyone, there's no one that gets away with, it's a human condition, like having doubts or insecurities or fear, like that would always show up.
And the beautiful thing is that it shows up. We might not realize we have it, but it certainly shows up when we teach. Exactly.
Yeah.
Being in that bubble, being in the bubble and having that, like, as you're saying, that support around you and being able to just open up to that conversation is really magical, isn't it? That's the real juice of the training. It's way beyond, the physical stuff. And I guess that's the transformational work, is being able to just, I guess, be in that proximity, be around like-minded people that you just go on that journey with. And for sure, it's a pretty special experience. Malin, do you have anything to say here? I'm sure you do. Always great stuff to say.
always something to say. No, I think for me as well, it's about understanding, why am I not confident to start with? Why do I have these doubts? What is it about my beliefs around myself that prevents me or stops me from being vulnerable? What is it that I have learned and picked up during the years that I've been alive that is preventing me from doing that? We meet people who are super confident, and and then we look at ourselves and we're like, I'm not like that, or why can I not be like that? So I think what Emma mentioned before is the personal growth, so we can really look ourselves in the mirror. We can look at ourselves in the mirror and see, where does this come from? And I think in the safe environment that the teacher training creates for us, we are able to shed all of those masks that we wear and look at where does this come from, without feeling like what Emma was saying, like judged or afraid. It does feel scary, but it's not the overwhelming fear that will prevent us from taking that step towards it.
Being in that safe space, for sure. I was actually speaking to one of our current teacher training students earlier on, and she was sharing that she had quite a few options in regards to training programs, and because this, as we all know, there's so many training programs out there, and some brilliant ones for sure. And she mentioned that it was the personal development and the personal growth element of Ignite Your Passion, the House Yoga and Teach Training, is that's why it sort of pulled her towards the training. and just now being in it and realizing, wow, that's such a part, that's such a you know, that is a real core part of our content and our experiences as a program and as facilitators. It's a really unique experience, right? You know, to bring that into a 200-hour teacher training. So not only, you know, you learn the skills and the tools and strategies to be, you know, to be able to teach and be confident, as we've been talking about, but just to really go deeper in your own journey and understand yourself better, like Emma was saying. Put those two together and it's a really powerful experience. All right, so that, I mean, that's a great answer, great answers from all of you around, you know, can a yoga teach training not only enhance, transform your practice and yoga journey, but also your whole life? Yes, it can, for sure. The next question then I have for you guys is, does the online experience of Ignite Your Passion, so our 200-hour teach training program that we have created at the House of Yoga, also as an online experience, does that work? Now, I asked this question to you, Freak, because obviously you've been leading this specific training now for, you know, over the last, well, all the way, I guess, through the pandemic, you know, and been leading the way. And so I just wanted to really bring this up for people that are perhaps listening, that are, again, curious about a teach training, and that they're looking at, can I do this online? You know, they may not be in the country, or it just works for their lifestyle. So that's the question I wanted to ask and bring up is, you know, does the online experience of yoga teach training really work? And if so, can you just share a little bit around the specifics of that?
Yeah, I think it's important that we take a look at what's the difference between the online and person. And Malin and I and Emma, we've had, and you too, Jace, have had a lot of fun creating the experience online and really discovering what that has to offer, because we've seen how transformational the experience is. We've experienced how transformational and impactful the experience is in person. So of course we were looking at how can we create this in an online container. And one of the beautiful aspects of that is we're able to come together from the space of our own home, where we feel most comfortable, and even the ability to prepare our home or prepare our space to allow that to be a part of the yoga teacher training is really cool. And the fact that we are an international group from many places in the world, bringing us together, being able to do this in real time online has been a really cool part of the journey and really amazing. And so in terms of the differences, that's it. It's we are separate in location, but we are coming together in real time and in person through Zoom, and we get that experience. And one of the really cool things is we've been able to keep the same content from the in-person yoga teacher training to the online version. And that content has translated really beautifully over in facilitating the same quality of transformation, the same quality of connection that we have. So that's been really beautiful. And one of the things that has been great to see is our students are stepping up. It's one thing to go through with it and to see what it's like. Yeah, we get together, we go through the training, we can even do the training in a shorter time span, which has been a great benefit as well. And then it's like, wait and see, okay, how did this land? Of course, we still spend a lot of time in the practice teaching, and it's like, how does this land? And it's awesome to see our students, having graduated from the online programs, going to lead retreats, teaching yoga in their communities, teaching in person, teaching online. And I'd say the online version prepares students even more to teach in the online atmosphere as well, because that's how we're teaching, and online is sticking around. So we know that teaching yoga online is going to be a big part of the industry and how how we're taking it as yoga teachers. So being able to connect with people online, feeling comfortable working with the technology are both great aspects of how that's supporting and contributing and allowing people, our students, the ability to extend their reach even beyond their local communities. Or let's say somebody has left their hometown and they're living somewhere else and they want to teach yoga to their family or to their friends back in hometown, they can do it online. It's amazing.
That's right. Yeah. That's the awesome part, right? If you think about you guys, you know, you got Malin and Jeff out of the UK and Emma and Wales, like, but that's the beautiful thing, that we feel very connected, although we're in, you know, different countries, but as a facilitation team, being able to come together and lead, you know, you guys leading the training is just, it's just such a brilliant thing, right? And Jeff, you say about it's not going away online, that's for sure, right? That's a fact, that the online experience, the online world is just enhancing, and there's more opportunities for yoga teachers to come out of a 200-hour teach training and really have that ability to just go set it up and go for it and start building their online community. It's massive, right? It's a huge community, it's a huge opportunity. So thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate that, Jeff. Em, what about you in regards to, could you share a little bit around the structure of the online training? Because Jeff talked about it's the same content, which I think is brilliant, right? It's the same content as an in-person, but it's obviously structured differently for the online experience.
Yeah, so online, one of the things that is great about online is how much more accessible it makes yoga teach training for people. And that's something that we really took into consideration when we were looking at how we wanted to structure it, in terms of how do we want to break down the hours for people. So one thing that's really worth us mentioning is that our online training is quite different to other online trainings in that it is live. So we are there in real time together. You're not watching a video back on your own and then kind of commenting on it. We are all in it at the same time, asking questions at that moment, which makes, I think, is what makes it so connected. And so the way that we've chosen to structure it is, so how can we make it fit in with people's lives quite well? So it's generally a 17-week program, and each week will alternate. So one week will be like a Friday evening and a Saturday all day. And then the week after would be a Tuesday evening and a Thursday evening. So you don't ever have to give up your full weekend. You can kind of make it work around most working lives. So yeah, we've tried to make it as accessible as possible.
Yeah, awesome. And so it like obviously builds a lot of momentum, right? Because if you think about the in-person, which we've been doing now for many years, and you know, we have a 8 weekends over 7 months. So once a month in person, real time, but obviously they have the monthly check-ins as well. But with your online training, or our online training, is it's building momentum pretty well every single week for 16 weeks, right? So it's that's a great thing, just to stay motivated and stay connected to the training. So it's every week. And then in regards to you talk about it being live, which is brilliant. It's also recorded, right? So the sessions are recorded. So let's say if someone, I don't know, they're at a wedding or they just can't make one of the sessions, the great thing is they can come back and watch it, right? Because you've recorded it.
Yeah, exactly. But also, even if you were there, like there's so much content in a 200-hour teacher training program, and generally, like the majority of it is new content. So when you're learning so much, it doesn't all go in straight away. So to be able to have that content to look back at a later point is so useful, and something that, I mean, I don't have that. I can't go back and I can look back at my notes, but I definitely can't watch or listen to a video of what happened. So I think that's great, because think how much you would learn by basically being able to step back into your training for a second time or a third time. Like,
yeah, imagine going back and seeing your training as your first practice teach session.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
You see
I'm really cool to see how much you've like progressed.
That's what I'm saying. You see the progress. You're like, wow, this is how far I've come. So that's a brilliant, you know, part of having it as a recorded experience as well. So Malin, in regards to someone that, you know, they are very keen to join an online teacher training program, what can you just share a little bit around your insights, like best setup in regards to this is what we advise you to create the environment set up so you can really be, be engaged and be fully in the program.
Yeah, and I think like for coming back just quickly to your question, does it work? 100% yes.
Yeah.
I recently did a kids yoga that was fully online study, and then we had a full weekend of Zoom meeting, and it gave us a great opportunity to connect with each other, and it gave me, the opportunity to look at it from the perspective of a student and not simply the facilitator, because we know that it works, right? So it was great to get that aspect as well. And, you can connect with smaller groups for a period of time, that you come back as a big group, you separate out again, maybe with a few different people, and you get this really intense conversations, which is beautiful, beautiful. Of course, they also happen in real person, but there is something, like Jeff mentioned, about being in your own home and having that ability to be in your own place. You have your own things, you set up a nice room, having the same space every time that you're online is great, so you don't have to shift around. Maybe dedicating a corner of a room, or a spare room or something that you can set yourself up, and you don't have to move or rearrange your furniture every time that you come online. And I think it's like we have this video that Jeff has created with like setting up your space. Have your yoga mat, have blocks and bolsters, blankets, some candles, maybe you like incense, or you have, other nice smells, other nice things for your, your focus points, your smell, what you hear, what you see. So all of those things for me add to the online experience and to the experience of yoga.
Brilliant. Yeah. So there you go. Like, if you're looking to jump into an online training and specifically ignite your passion, you've got a really good insight there of how it can actually work. Yes, it does work. We now know from this conversation that it's brilliant. It works. Exactly the same content as an in-person training. And I guess you talked about freedom, Emma. There's freedom with this, right? So you don't have to be traveling, and you have got your environment to sort of to set up within at home. It's brilliant. All right, you guys, so we've got a definite yes. Teacher training can absolutely enhance, transform your own yoga practice journey, and that ripple effect in your whole life. And we know now that an online teacher training program absolutely works. It really does. And you've got one coming up, right? So our next training is March the 18th. So it kicks off March the 18th and runs through to the 30th of June. Can we finish this conversation with you guys sharing, for those people that are listening and for anyone curious to step into this incredible life enhancing journey, what would you say to them after, as facilitators now, and as going through this program yourself and leading it for many years now? What would you say to those people?
Go for it.
If you're thinking about it, you're ready to do it, because a lot of people, they start thinking and then the doubts creep in. But if you're thinking about doing a training, you are thinking about it for a reason.
Very good. Love that.
I think you don't necessarily need to want to be a yoga teacher to get a huge amount of benefit and wealth from this training. So even if you're not sure as to whether you want to teach yet, then I would still say do a training. In fact, I think everybody should do a yoga teacher training, because they're so good.
That's the big win as well, right? So yes, of course, we have a big percentage of graduates go out and then they go and teach, be it part-time, full-time, as we spoke about on many other episodes, and make it a full-time career. If that's something that's part of your life vision, that's all possible. But like you say, you may not want to go and teach the physical practice of yoga, but actually all of the skills and the tools and the journey and the experience of teach training can, as we know, really enhance the other stuff that you're doing in life, for sure, be it personal or professional. Awesome, you guys. I loved it as always. Thank you so much for your time. And for anyone listening, thank you for, for listening in. And yeah, we hope we can serve you for future trainings.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.